Time for convening having arrived. The Senate will come to order. Would ask unauthorized visitors to exit the chamber at this time. The Senate will come to order. Chair recognizes the very distinguished Rules Committee Chairman, the Senator from the 53rd.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. It's a wonderful day at our state capitol. The people in this room are trying to improve the quality of life for every Georgian. It's also Georgia State University Day. The journal's been read and found to be correct.
Thank you, Senator, for your good works on the journal. And yes, it is Georgia State Day, and we're excited to have them with us today. Is there objection to dispensing with the reading of the journal? The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. The journal is confirmed. All senators having bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 83 by Senators Redd of the 33rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend
Public
Chapter
Safety.
1. Senate Bill 84 by Senator Watson of the 1st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to provide.
Slow go.
Senate Resolution 143 by Senator Thompson of the 5th, a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize the General Assembly to provide.
Regulated industries.
Mr. President, this completes the order.
First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions.
House Bill 36 by Representative Randall of the 142nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act entitled Macon Water Commissioners Pension Plan, approved December 30th, 1953, as amended particularly by an act approved May 1st, 2012, so as to repeal a provision permitting the assignment of pension rights to repeal conflicting laws.
Slow go.
House Bill 67 by Representative Kidd of the 145th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide for unified government of Milledgeville, Baldwin County.
Slow go.
House Bill 88 by Representative Prince of the 127th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating a new charter for the city of Stapleton.
Slow go.
House Bill 101 by Representative Chokas of the 138th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act providing for the Board of Education for Schley County.
Slow go.
House Bill 102 by Representative Chokas of the 138th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide that the judge of the probate court of Schley County shall also serve.
Slow go.
House Bill 125 by Representative Belton of the 112th, a bill to be entitled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of Rutledge and ad valorem taxes for municipal purposes in the amount of $10,000 of the assessed value of the homestead for residents.
Slow go.
House Bill 148 by Representatives Dickey of the 140th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to authorize the governing authority of the City of Byron to levy an excise tax pursuant to subsection
Slow
B.
go.
Mr. President, this completes the order.
Secretary will read reports of standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 5 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Senator Ginn of the 47th. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Bill 3 do pass by substitute. Respectively submitted, Senator Unterman of the 45th, Chairman. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Science and Technology has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report back the same to the Senate with the following recommendation: that Senate Resolution 74 do pass. Respectively submitted, Senator Beach of the 21st, Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President. House Resolution 103 by Representative Stetzler of the 35th and others, Georgia Day of Coding, December 10th, recognized. Mr. President, this completes the order.
It's now time for the morning roll call. Time for the morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Motions to excuse. Senators, please signify your presence by voting the yea switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. Senator from the 49th, we're ready for you. 49th? Tell Butch. It is now time for the morning devotion. Time for the morning devotion. Would ask that all senators please take your seats and cease all audible conversation at this time as we are preparing the chamber for our morning devotion. Doorkeepers, secure the chamber at this time. It is now my distinct honor to recognize the very distinguished senator from Hall County, the senator from the 49th, as he comes to lead us in our pledge and introduce our chaplain of the day. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge to our state flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation. Thank you, Mr. President. It gives me great pleasure to be before you today to introduce a longtime friend of mine, Bruce Shortell. You know, it's very rarely that you meet a pastor by way of dance lessons. Teresa and I signed up for dance lessons many years ago, and we got there, and the instructor was a local pastor. I said, what kind of church is this? I want to get in that place. Bruce has been a great influence on our community. He has pastored in Delaware, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. He got out of college. He went to work for Bethlehem Steel. He's worked in the private sector for many years. He resisted the call for many years and then became a pastor and has just done a wonderful job, wonderful influence on many, many people in our community. Bruce Shortell is here today with his lovely wife, Carolyn. Carolyn, raise your hand. Bruce Shortell, thank you.
Thank you, Butch. Well, Lieutenant Governor Cagle, Senator Miller, members of the Senate, and distinguished guests, good morning. It's an honor for me to be here. And I'm grateful that Butch asked me to do this and that you do this when you open up your sessions. So this is the day the Lord has made, and so we rejoice and we're glad in it. I had a strange dream last night. I dreamt that I died, and there I was at the pearly gates, and I wanted to get into heaven, and Peter said, well, you see that ladder over there? Yeah, I said, yes. He said, here's some chalk. He said, now, you climb that ladder, and for every one of your sins, you put some chalk on the rung of the ladder as you go up the ladder. I thought that was rather strange, but I did that, and I started to climb up the ladder, and I was going a pretty long time up the ladder. And as I reached for one of the rungs, somebody stepped on my hand. And I looked up, and it was Senator Miller. And I said, where are you going? He said, I'm going back down for more chalk. You know, clergy struggle sometimes to find out what they're supposed to talk about. And I remember the pastor asks a member of his congregation, what do you want me to talk about? The guy said, well, about 10 minutes, we'll do it. Which means I have to get to the point here this morning. In this past month or so, I've been catching up on some church history that I haven't read for a long time, and I came across a quote that's been rattling around in my head and my heart for a month or so, and then Butch asked me to come here, and I received the letter of invitation to come before you today. And so, preparing for today, I still couldn't get that quote out of my head, because the subject of the quote was sacrifice. Not a new thought for you or for me. Sacrifice is necessary, but it's still a good reminder sometimes. And so it's been rattling around in my head, as I said, that we need to make sacrifice in order to accomplish any task that is good and right and worthwhile. And perhaps you might want to consider that too. In my reading, I was getting to the 19th century in England. The Industrial Revolution was causing a lot of problems and tensions, and both church and state were trying to find out what the problems were. And it was at that point that a pastor named Frederick Denison Maurice, in about the mid-1800s, made the quote that I'm referring to. Sacrifice lies at the very root of our being, that our lives stand upon it, that society is held together by it, that all power to be right and to do right begins with the offering up of ourselves. Offering ourselves to God, because it is thus that the righteous Lord makes us like himself. That sacrifice, society is held together by it. How would you define sacrifice? In our culture, usually, well, that's every individual can do their own thing. But no matter how you define it, it seems to me there's a question that applies to all definitions. And that is, do we make a sacrifice to benefit others or to benefit me? Obviously, the answer is both. Sacrifice is obviously giving up something in order to get something else that's better. I give up something, doing something that I really enjoy doing, in order to take time to go to the gym and work out. I give up something to benefit my health. Or I give up food that I enjoy, that's a sacrifice, in order to get a slimmer body. And then that's sacrifice that helps me. But then we kind of turn our attention sometime and we think of our armed forces personnel. We think of first responders. And they give up themselves for others. The military and first responders, as we all know, make many personal sacrifices, sometimes even their life, in order to give life to somebody else. So, for a few minutes, I would just encourage us to think about the value of sacrifice that I make in order to benefit others. In switching the focus from sacrificing for me and sacrificing for someone else. And people look for all kinds of illustrations when it comes to sacrifice. For me, the best sacrifice definition, illustration I have, is when Jesus sacrificed himself on the cross, and he died, gave his life in order to give life to all of humankind. And I've come to realize that as I accept his invitation into that personal relationship with him that begins now and goes into eternity, that's the life that he gives. And because of that, I'm reminded that when I'm making decisions, I have to kind of keep sacrifice as part of my agenda and part of my consideration when I'm making choices. And to lift up the value of sacrifice to make sure that I'm trying to do what's right and good and worthwhile. Does it always work? No. Do I always remember to do it? no. But I've been reminding myself this month that maybe I need to do it more. Sacrifice has a cost. It might mean giving up my way of doing things and do it your way, because I decided your way's better than my way, and that costs me when I give up my way to do it your way. It also costs me to give up my way to do it God's way, because I always think I should know what I'm about to do, and I forget to turn to God sometimes to ask Him. Sacrifice can be costly. It can cost people a promotion in their job. I've known a couple of people that it cost them their job because they wouldn't cheat or do whatever they were asked to do by their employer. It can cost popularity. Hey, could even cost an election. It can cost a friendship. It could even cost some sacrifice. You know, you get tired of hearing this, but working across the aisle here in this place includes sacrifice. One of Frank Sinatra's songs that everybody loves is "I Did It My Way." And it strikes a chord in us because we really do like to do things my way. But I keep hoping that somebody will write a song that says, "I did it God's way. I tried to do it God's way." Sacrifice can cause tensions. We live in a society of competition. And when there's competition, there's winners and losers, not just in the Super Bowl, but for instance, even in families, and when there's an argument between a husband and a wife. And we're so competitive, and we're so bent on winning, that even in that situation, isn't it true, sometimes our knee-jerk reaction is say, "I want to win." And in that situation, obviously, when I win and my wife loses, I lose. Because we've given up, I haven't given up me, I've held on to me, and it cost me us. I've given up mine. I mean, I take mine, and it costs me ours. The same dynamic happens in the workplace, in church meetings, anywhere. Sacrifice means giving up something in order to find the right thing. And if I'm worried about being a winner, I'm liable not to find the right thing. Being a winner very often hides the right thing to do. And I would argue that if sacrifice replaces the desire to win, then everybody wins, because we're looking for what's true and right and good. And since I always know what's true and right and good, I have to sacrifice that and be open to find what's true and right and good. And I've discovered, as you have, over the past decades of my life, that when I do make a sacrifice, when I do have the courage to do that, I find a new life. I find a new joy. How many times have you volunteered to maybe feed the hungry or tutor a child, and you gave up time, and your response is, "Oh, I gained so much more than what I gave"? Sacrifice somehow does that. Or I make a sacrifice and I find I have a peace inside me, and I can sleep better at night because I really was more concerned about doing the right thing than in winning. Well, anyhow, that's what has been rattling around in my head the past month or so because of that quote of all things, from that guy back in the mid-1800s. So these are just a few thoughts about the value of sacrifice. And since I don't like to do things alone, I just assume some other people think about that besides me. So I need to remember, if I'm going to do anything good and right and worthwhile, I probably am going to have to make a sacrifice. And for me, that means often sacrificing my ideas and either enjoying yours or letting God have his will in my life. Let's pray. Almighty God, thank you for this opportunity to be here. Thank you for the people in this place, these senators and all who assist them. And Lord, I just ask that you would come by your Holy Spirit and first of all, touch each one in their individual lives, in their various needs, and their hopes, and their hurts, and whatever is going on, that you would send your Holy Spirit to give them guidance and touch them with your healing presence. Remember also, pray today for women's heart disease, that would be solved and healed. Pray for Georgia State and all the students there and the faculty. And, O God, the fountain of wisdom, whose will is good and gracious and whose law is truth, beseech thee to guide and bless the senators gathered together here today, that they may enact such laws today and over the weeks to come that would please you and to the glory of your name and to the welfare of the people of Georgia. And Lord, as we pray the prayer attributed to St. Francis, Lord, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is hatred, let us show love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. And grant, O Lord, that we may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it's in pardoning that we are pardoned, and in dying that we are born to eternal life. Again, Lord, I ask that you would bless this body here gathered today. Pray in the name of your Son. Amen.
standing your ground. Appreciate it.
Are there any unanimous consents? I know we have a number of senators that wishes to rise on a point of personal privilege. I believe the senator from the 30th had asked to be recognized. We're going to have to move a little bit quicker today with the state of judiciary. Sorry to rush us along. Chair recognizes Senator from the 30th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. While we got a bunch of different things going on at the same time, I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize a very special member of our Senate family. After graduating from Georgia Southern University with a degree in public relations and a minor in Spanish, she worked as an intern for 680 The Fan, sports radio in Atlanta. She started as an aide in the Senate press office for the 2012 session and then was promoted to full-time Senate press staff shortly afterwards. Today is her last day for the session in the press office. Friday will be her last day on the Senate staff. If you haven't heard yet, Emily Williams over here, one of the outstanding members of our press office, has accepted another job. Although we're sad that she'll no longer be protecting the Senate Twitter feed or sharing our pictures on Facebook, or me especially writing my columns and taking pictures from the floor, I'm very happy for her and for her future, as I hope that you are as well. Under her leadership, the Senate Twitter feed at the Georgia Senate Press has added 2,500 new followers. The Senate Press Twitter account has also been named as one of the top 100 Twitter users in Atlanta. Emily, I want to thank you for your service to the Senate. And my distinguished colleagues, I ask that you join me in showing our appreciation for all the hard work that Emily has done with her.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you, Emily, for all the great work you have provided to this august body. We will miss you, but wish you the very, very best in your in future endeavors. Chair recognizes Senator on the 29th on a point of personal privilege. Please give the Senator your attention.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to take a moment because the good district attorney down in Macon has had another time to write another missive in the Macon newspaper about the Religious Freedom Bill, and this time he is saying that myself and others are not concerned with prosecuting folks that kill children. So he continues to up the ante with respect to this issue. I hope many of you had the opportunity yesterday to read about the fact that this gentleman's campaign manager is employed by Better Georgia, that he has a long-standing financial relationship with Better Georgia, and that he is, again, literally willing to say anything to mischaracterize what the proposed Religious Freedom Restoration Act would do for the state of Georgia. And I think it's important to note that he stands totally alone in the remarks that he's made. He has been unable to answer the challenge that we've made repeatedly to cite a single case where any criminal defendant has been excused from their criminal conduct by the utilization of a religious freedom defense. And I just think it is positively shameful that someone who is sworn to uphold the law and enforce the law would characterize those of us up here championing this issue as being less committed to the prosecution of criminal defendants. I've had the opportunity over the last 4 years to bring forward legislation to provide DNA testing for felony arrests, to bring more people to justice, to bring closure to victims' families. I appreciate the senator from the 56th who's carrying that bill this year. We would love to see the district attorney from Macon perhaps appear at a hearing on that bill, perhaps come up here and express some kind of concern for something that actually would do something for victims of criminal activity. But I will continue to come to this well each and every time malicious and totally false attacks are made about this modest protection for individual civil liberties in this state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Chair recognizes the senator from the 6th to present the Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today it's my honor to introduce Andrew Dott. He is a graduate of the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Columbia University in New York City, and he completed his advanced training at the University of Washington in Seattle. He takes care of our great women and babies, and he's a gynecologist, and he works hard to try to improve the lives of mothers and babies in this state, and it's truly my honor to introduce him today.
Thank you very much for allowing me to talk to you for a second. I don't have a lot to say except on behalf of the Medical Association of Georgia, we want to thank all of you for all that you do to help the health of our citizens, and for the Georgia OBGYN Society for all you do to promote the health care and welfare of women and children. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Great. Let's pose for a picture. I have a special group. We'd like to recognize Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 90 by Senators Wilkinson of the 50th, Harper of the 7th, Black of the 8th, and Miller of the 49th. A resolution recognizing February 4th, 2015 as Veterinary Medicine Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas Georgia veterinarians protect the health and welfare of animals in this state that serve as a source of companionship, nutrition, and education for the people of this state. And whereas the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association has been the voice of organized veterinary medicine for more than 100 years. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of this body commend those in the veterinary field for their contributions to improve the health and welfare of animals throughout this state, and recognize February 4th, 2015 as Veterinary Medicine Day at the Capitol. Mr. President, this completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Great to have our veterinarians present with us today, and to recognize our very special guest, I call upon the distinguished senator, our Agricultural Committee Chairman, the senator from the 5th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, it is Georgia Veterinary Medicine Day at the state capitol. I know we just had the doctor of the day, but looking out over the chamber here, maybe there might be a couple of you that need to see some of the people behind me here. But we do appreciate the work that our veterinarians do for our animals and livestock, their health and welfare in the state. I want to introduce them this morning. We have Dr. Vince Obstichnik with the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association, if you'll raise your hand. Dr. John Sundstrom with the State Board. Dr. Susan Blevins, who's the Executive Director of the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association. Dr. Laura Smallwood. Dr. Spencer Talley. And at this time, I would like to call on the current president of the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association, Dr. Duffy Jones, from the Peachtree Hills Animal Hospital in Atlanta, to make brief remarks.
Thank you, members of the Senate, for allowing me the privilege to speak today. As president of the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association, I'm here to represent the GVMA, the voice of the veterinary medical profession in legislative matters, as well as the authority on animal issues in Georgia. Since 1906, the GVMA has been serving the Georgia veterinary community, which consists of more than 3,400 licensed veterinarians in clinical practice, teaching, research, and public health and military service. As your other family doctor, today's veterinarians are the only medical professionals educated to both protect the health of both animals and people. We work hard to address the health needs of every type of animal and also play a critical role in agribusiness, Georgia's largest economic sector, in addition to environmental protection, food safety, animal welfare, and public health. Thank you again for your time. And before I leave, I would like to make one simple request. When considering any legislation pertaining to animals or public health, I would encourage every member of this assembly to talk to your veterinary constituents for a factual, science-based perspective. Veterinarians are the voice of reason in the animal welfare community. Thank you.
Good to see you. Great. Good to see you. Let's pose for a picture. Have another special group we'd like to recognize, and the Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 37 by Senators C of the 34th, James of the 35th, Redd of the 33rd, Butler of the 55th, and Hinson of the 41st, and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Satchel B. Jester and for other purposes. Whereas Atlanta native Satchel B. Jester has worked in the entertainment industry for over 15 years, and whereas he has worked with the talents that include Outkast and Sean Combs, and whereas this past fall he released 2 book projects. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body do commend Satchel B. Jester. Mr. President, this completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? Chair is none. The resolution is adopted. Speak to the resolution and recognize our very special guest. I call upon the distinguished senator from the 34th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the Senate, it is with great pleasure that I stand before you to introduce you to some of North Clayton's finest. Now, I want to make sure I recognize the parents of this young man, and that's Ms. Jester and her husband, Mr. Jester. They are pillars in the community. We've been working together. As a matter of fact, when I was first elected to the school board, they were instrumental in helping me in that endeavor. But their son, Satchel Jester, we've been talking about the entertainment industry for all these years. Well, 15 years ago, long before we've been given incentives, Satchel Jester, known talent and working in the entertainment industry for over 15 years, has proven just that. An Atlanta native, specifically Clayton County, North Clayton, Satchel has worked with the talents including Outkast, Sean P. Diddy Combs, the Wayans family, and the legendary Whitney Houston. Also, a show producer, Jester has produced special events and projects for companies, brands, and networks, including Starbucks, Nike, The Real Housewives of Atlanta, BET, MTV, VH1, and Bravo. Additionally, Jester has served as a product ambassador for Ford and Universal Pictures. Currently, he is all-access editor at Upscale Magazine and contributing editor to Uptown Magazine. This year, Satchel will release 2 book projects, one under his current lifestyle brand, Scenes by Satchel, and one giving DIY insight on planning fabulous feats. Up in the Attics, Satchel will serve as executive producer on Lifestyle Makeover Show and a male central talk show. Whatever he does, Satchel Jester does it well, and as young as he is, it's only just begun. Thank you, Satchel, for all that you do, and I ask you if you want to say a word or two.
I see a sign that says time expired, but I want to thank you for having me here today. I want to thank my parents and my family for being here with me today, and I want to thank the state of Georgia for being the place that's birthed me, that's taught me, and as I continue to travel, write, and meet amazing people, Georgia will always be on my mind. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Great. Good to see you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Good to see you. Good. Secretary will read a resolution for another special group.
Senate Resolution 115 by Senator Unterman of the 45th and others. A resolution recognizing and commending the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women movement and recognizing February 6, 2015 as National Wear Red Day and for other purposes. Whereas heart disease is the #1 killer of women, yet 80% of cardiac events can be prevented. And whereas cardiovascular disease causes 1 in 3 women's deaths each year, killing approximately 1 woman every minute. And whereas in celebration of the 112th Wear Red Day on the 12th National Wear Red Day on February 6, 2015, Go Red for Women is strongly urging all women across America to join us in making America go red and save women's lives. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women movement and recognize February 6, 2015 as National Wear Red Day. Mr. President, this completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. To speak to the resolution, call upon the distinguished senator from the 45th to recognize our very special guest.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could have members of the Senate Women's Caucus on the dais, I would appreciate it. Senators? Yes. And we do have our very honored senator from Bainbridge, Georgia, up here with us. Honorary member. Yes. As a former OBGYN, you are our honorary member. Thank you. Senator? Where's Valencia? All right, come on. On behalf of the American Heart Association and the Georgia Heart Association, we're delighted to have here at the Capitol our annual event, Go Red for Women. And if you can't see all these cardinals standing up here, there's something wrong with you. You're a little bit colorblind. But we're delighted to be able to bring awareness about heart disease, specifically in women, and knowing the tolls that it takes on families and women in the state of Georgia. We're very honored to have a group of nurses here and folks from Piedmont Hospital and also folks from the Georgia Heart Association who've done an excellent job. As the resolution said, I believe this is the 12th Awareness Day here in the state of Georgia. So we're absolutely delighted. As a former registered nurse who worked in cardiovascular disease, I understand the importance of it. And we also have several senators who have actually had cardiac disease. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the senator from DeKalb County.
Thank you, my friend from the 45th. We've done this every year for quite a few years. And I know some of you have heard my story, some of you have not, but I'll give you just an overview. In 2007, I had a heart bypass because I was having some unusual things go on with me, and I recognized that it was not my usual self. So I called my doctor, and she got me in, and we did a stress test and found out that I had blockage. And so I went through heart bypass. But the most important thing for all of us and all of you is to do your stress tests, eat right, exercise, drink lots of water. Make sure you take care of your family as far as their stress tests and eating right is concerned too. We need to eat more healthy and live longer lives. So thank you so much, Senator, for having me come up here with you, and hopefully we'll be around next year to do it again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I believe the senator from Clayton County had almost the exact same story. There you are. There you are. I didn't know where you were.
Thank you guys for wearing your red. Go Red for Women is such an important event to highlight how important heart disease is to everyone, because it is the #1 killer. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the American Heart Association, we would like to thank everyone for wearing red today. And please remember to wear red on Friday, February the 6th, which is National Wear Red Day. My name is Kimberly Goodlow. I'm a heart disease survivor. I experienced aortic valve replacement and 2 pacemaker surgeries 6 years ago. I stand here today as a proud ambassador for the American Heart Association. Thank you.
We'll go right down here and get a picture.
Yeah, she'll get in on the picture. Hey, thank y'all for coming down today.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
We have another special group we'd like to recognize. Secretary will read a resolution.
Senate Resolution 103 by Senator Tippins of the 37th and others. A resolution commending Georgia State University and recognizing February 4th, 2015 as Georgia State University Day at the Capitol and for other purposes. Whereas Georgia State University, founded in 1913, is a premier urban research university focused on research, service, and advanced educational opportunities for more than 32,000 students. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body do commend Georgia State University for providing exemplary education for more than a century and recognize February 4th, 2015 as Georgia State University Day at the state capitol. Mr. President, this completes the order.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? Chair is none. The resolution is adopted. Always great to have Georgia State University present with us today. We appreciate all of the great work that they've done and such a wonderful job in the revitalization of downtown Atlanta, and obviously for what they've done for my three boys as well. To speak to the resolution and recognize our very honored guest, I call upon the distinguished senator from 37.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is a distinct honor to welcome to our chamber this morning the president of Georgia State, Dr. Mark Becker, his lovely wife, Laura, Student Government Association President Lanier Henson, and Governmental Affairs Representative Mr. Tom Lewis, who we all know well. I'd like to welcome Dr. Becker to come and speak a few words for us this morning. Dr. Becker.
Well, thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you again this year. The simplest thing I can tell you about Georgia State University is it's 32,500 students. We're in the process of working a consolidation with Georgia Perimeter College, which will take us over 54,000 students. Now, it's not the size that matters, it's the number of people that actually get an education and graduate. And so just to give you an idea of the sort of things we've been working on behalf of you and the support that you provide the institution, is we have increased the number of people graduating from Georgia State University by 1,700 students per year in the last 4 years. And we've done that not by lowering the standards. The standards have been anything but lowered. They've actually been increased over the last decade for a number of years. But we've done it by basically investing in the right technology and the right people to make sure that students who start college finish college. And so we want to thank you for all the support you provide for the University System of Georgia. Georgia State University is very proud to be the urban research university component of the university system. The University System of Georgia, I hope you know, is one of the very best university systems in the entire United States of America, something we can all be very proud of, and we very much appreciate your support this year as in all years. So thank you very much for having us today.
All right. Well done. All right, good. Let's move for a picture, guys. You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Is there objection? Without objection, the consent calendar of privilege resolutions therefore adopted. We only have just a few moments here left. Chair recognizes Senator from the 46th, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is Prostate Cancer Awareness Day. I'd like to welcome many of our friends that are up here in the balcony this morning. I've got a dear friend from Athens, Kurt Gelfand, who is a prostate cancer survivor. You know, I'd note that 241,000 people, men, a year are diagnosed with prostate cancer, of which 31,000 die. My friend Kurt is a survivor, and he has started a group called Save Our Dads, which is to educate and inform the public about this deadly disease. So many of their members are here today, and I'd ask you please stand up and applaud them. You fellows, stand up. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you all very, very much. Secretary Reed, Senate Bill 53.
Senate Bill 53 by Senator Kirk of the 13th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act relating to mental health and authorizing a licensed professional counselor to perform certain acts.
Chair recognizes Senator from the 13th.
Be placed on the table.
The senators move to table the bill. Is there objection? Without objection, the bill will be laid on the table. Chair recognizes the senator from the 54th for an announcement.
On behalf of our former colleague and now Congressman Buddy Carter, I'd like to remind the Senate that the Georgia Pharmacy Association will celebrate Pharmacy Day tomorrow and have breakfast over at the depot at 8:30 in the morning.
Very good. There are a few others. Are there any other announcements? Chair, we're out of time on once personal privilege. We've got to get over to the... announcement? Absolutely. Chair recognizes Senator from the 35th. Do it right there, Senator. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome the Interfaith Children Network. They are here at the Capitol today. Some of them are still upstairs. Many of them will visit your offices, and they are praying for us every day.
Wonderful.
So welcome to the Interfaith Children's Network. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. Great to have you with us today, and thank you for your prayers. Correct. Chair recognizes Senator from the 46th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that upon dissolution of the joint session, this Senate stand adjourned pursuant to House Resolution 19 to 11 o'clock a.m. Monday, February the 9th.
11 o'clock on Monday, noted. Secretary, read the announcements.
The 12 p.m. Rules Committee meeting has been canceled. The 1 p.m. Public Safety Committee meeting has been canceled. The 1 p.m. Health and Human Services Pharmacy Subcommittee meeting will meet in Mezzanine 1 of the Capitol. The 1 p.m. Appropriations Fiscal Management Subcommittee meeting will meet in Room 310 of CLOB. The 1 p.m. Appropriations Criminal Justice Subcommittee meeting will meet in Room 341 of the Capitol. The 1 p.m. Education and Youth Committee meeting will be held in Room 307 of CLOB. The 1 p.m. Insurance and Labor Committee meeting has been canceled. The 2 p.m. Finance Committee meeting will be held in the Mezzanine Room 1 of the Capitol. The 2 p.m. Appropriations Public Safety Subcommittee will be held in Room 341 of the Capitol.
All right. Also, just as a reminder, Appropriation Committee members be prepared and ready for the committee vote on Monday at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. prior to our 11 a.m. Beginning of our session. We are now getting ready to line up to do the State of the Judiciary in the back where the Sergeant of Arms will escort us there. First, the Majority Leader has moved that upon dissolution of the joint session, the Senate stand adjourned pursuant to House Resolution 19 until 11 a.m. on Monday. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes, for sure, clearly have it. We stand adjourned. Let's line up in the back.